All right, so we've got this AI news digest that you've put together for us. It's articles, Reddit threads, Discord, even some Twitter buzz. It's a lot,
Yeah.
right? But we're going to cut through the noise and find out what really matters this week in the AI world.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, even with so much going on, there's like these themes that kind of emerge. There are some models that are having performance hiccups. There's confusion about costs, credits, and of course, there's this brand new model family that's causing quite a stir.
Yeah, it sounds like it's been a busy week. Let's start with those performance hiccups. I'm seeing some stuff about DeepSeek V3. Just a few weeks ago, everybody was praising it for its speed, but now...
DeepSeek V3, yeah, it was like the golden child, handling these huge data sets like it was nothing. But now users are saying it's slowing down, like way down. Speeds are plummeting to like zero point 0.6
point
TPS?
0.6 TPS. Okay, and that...
Transactions per second. It's basically how fast the model can process information.
Oh, wow. That's a big drop. I mean, is this a sign that DeepSeek has some, like, fundamental limitations, or is this just a temporary thing as they try to, scale up and meet demand?
It's tough to say for sure without like really getting into the technical details, but it definitely raises some red flags. It could be something in the design, or maybe they're having trouble optimizing it for wider usage. Whatever it is, it shows how hard it is to keep things running smoothly as these AI models get more popular and have to handle tougher tasks.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you have this high-performance sports car, and then suddenly it hits a speed bump. You got to wonder what's going on under the hood, right?
Exactly.
And speaking of performance problems, I'm also seeing some reports about windsurf. That's that AI code assistant, right?
Yeah, windsurf. Users are running into all these internal errors, which is bad enough, but then those errors are actually using up their credits.
Wait, so they're paying for the model to make mistakes?
That's right. It's a big problem for developers who rely on these tools every day. And it kind of brings up this whole messy situation with pricing and credits in the AI world.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. It seems like nobody really understands how these credits are calculated or used.
It's like those hidden fees airlines love to tack on. You think you're getting a good deal, then suddenly you're paying extra for everything.
Exactly. So we've got performance issues, A&D, confusing pricing, not a great start.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole thing about the cost of training these big AI models. Are those million-dollar training bills for real?
Oh, they're very real. Engineers are sharing their GPU bills online, and some of them are insane, like $600,000 or more.
Wow. So, I mean, does this mean that only huge companies can afford to play in the AI space?
That's the big question, isn't it? We want AI to be accessible to everyone, but the cost is a huge barrier.
It's like we're trying to make AI democratic, but you need to be a millionaire to participate.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a challenge the AI community needs to figure out. How can we make training more efficient? Can we develop cheaper hardware? Those are the things that will determine who gets to use AI in the future.
So we've got performance issues, cost barriers. It's starting to sound a bit gloomy, but there's some good news, right? What about this Sonus-1 model family I keep hearing about?
Ah, Sonus-1. Now that's where things get interesting. There are all sorts of versions, mini, Air, Pro, even a reasoning variant. They've really covered all the bases.
Well, given your expertise, what are you most excited about? Any signs that this could be a game changer?
Well, the early reports are very positive, particularly in text generation and code output. There's even a tweet going around showing Sonus Mini generating code at lightning speed using that Aider tool.
Okay, so there's potential. But can Sonus-1 deliver on its promises? Will it avoid the pitfalls of models like DeepSeek and Windsurf? And will it be affordable?
Only time will tell, but there's a lot of buzz around Sonus-1. People are clearly looking for models that can push the boundaries without breaking the bank or being too difficult to use.
It's like when a new smartphone comes out. Everyone's eager to see if it lives up to the hype.
But speaking of pushing boundaries, let's talk about benchmarks. I'm seeing a lot about GPT-4 absolutely dominating the benchmark scene. Is it really that good?
Oh yeah, GPT-4 has aced pretty much every benchmark out there. It's like that student who gets perfect scores on every test, leaving everyone else wondering how they even stand a chance.
So what happens now? If GPT-4 has already maxed out the benchmarks, how do we measure progress?
That's a tough one. Researchers are trying to figure out if we need new ways to evaluate AI or if we can adapt the existing benchmarks. It's like needing a whole new set of challenges once you've conquered all the old ones.
Makes sense. And while some people are thinking about benchmarks, others are busy fine-tuning existing models for specific tasks. It seems like there's a real customization frenzy happening. Absolutely. People are experimenting with different techniques to make models work for their specific needs. code generation, invoice processing, even things like quest generation for video games. It's like taking a general tool and sharpening it for a very specific job.
So it's not just about making bigger, more powerful models, but also about making them more adaptable.
Exactly. And it's happening on all sorts of platforms: Llama 3.x, SmallThinker 3B, tools like Unsloth, Axolotl, Hugging Face Transformers. It's a really exciting time to be involved in AI.
It's like a giant brainstorming session happening online with everyone contributing ideas and expertise.
And it's leading to amazing results, not just with models, but with the tools used to build and deploy them too.
So let's talk tools. What are some of the big trends you're seeing?
One really interesting trend is the rise of GraphRag. It's this new retrieval augmented generation strategy that everyone's talking about.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it in the Aider Discord. The DSPy Discord developers seem really excited about its potential for both code and text tasks.
GraphRag. I've heard the name. Can you remind me what it is and why it's causing such a stir?
Imagine giving an AI model access to a huge external brain, like connecting it to Wikipedia, a code repository, a million databases all at once. That's basically what GraphRag does.
So instead of just relying on what it already knows, the model can tap into this vast external knowledge base.
Exactly. And that helps with one of the biggest problems in AI: hallucination.
Hallucination, you mean when the AI starts making things up?
Yeah, when it generates stuff that sounds plausible but is totally wrong or just nonsensical. By grounding the model's responses in real-world knowledge, GraphRag tries to cut down on these hallucinations and make the outputs more reliable.
Okay, so it's not just about making AI bigger and faster, but also about making it smarter and more trustworthy.
Absolutely. And that's super important. As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, we need to be able to trust these models to give us accurate information and make good decisions.
So it's not just about pushing the technical boundaries, but also about making sure AI is used ethically and responsibly. That's a really important point. Well, this has been a fascinating look at what's happening in the AI world, and I think we've covered a lot of ground already. We've talked about performance challenges, the cost of AI, new model launches, and even exciting new tools like GraphRag. But there's still a lot more to explore,
Oh,
right?
definitely. We've only scratched the surface. There's a whole world of community-specific developments, hardware drama, and emerging trends waiting for us.
All right, well, let's take a quick break and then dive back into the AI news vortex in part 2. All right, we're back and ready to dive even deeper into this AI news ocean. Last time we were talking about those powerful new tools like GraphRag, but you mentioned all these community-specific developments that are happening. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, it's really amazing how different AI communities are tackling different problems and pushing things forward in their own way. The energy is incredible.
So give me the rundown. Which communities are really buzzing right now?
Well, one that's super active is the Codeum Discord, especially the hashtag Windsurf channel. They're all about Windsurf, that AI code assistant we talked about earlier.
Oh yeah, Windsurf, the one with those errors that drain credits.
Exactly. It seems like people are having mixed feelings about it. Some developers love how it speeds up their coding and gives them helpful suggestions. It's like having an AI pair programmer right there with them.
So it's actually making developers more productive.
In some ways, yes. But then there are these issues with random code changes, tasks that don't get finished, and problems keeping the AI's workflow consistent. So, it's not perfect yet.
It sounds like AI still has some learning to do when it comes to coding. I mean, even human pair programmers can have their disagreements, right?
Absolutely. And this really highlights the challenge of creating AI systems that truly understand how humans work and adapt to those complexities. It's not just about writing code, it's about collaborating and fitting into existing workflows smoothly.
Okay, so beyond the coding world, are there any other communities that are really active right now? What about AI art or natural language processing?
Oh yeah, there's tons of exciting stuff happening in those areas too. Over in the Stability.ai Discord, there's a lot of buzz around new tools and models for image generation, especially video generation.
Video generation, that's where AI is making some incredible progress. What are some of the tools that people are excited about?
One that's getting a lot of attention is LTXVideo. It's way faster than older video generation pipelines, particularly on those new GPUs.
So we're talking about rendering a video in minutes instead of overnight.
Exactly. And it's not sacrificing quality for speed either. People are getting stunning results with it, which is a testament to how far this field has come.
It's amazing to see what AI is capable of creatively. But what about the more technical side of things? Any exciting developments in natural language processing?
Definitely. The Nose Research AI Discord is buzzing with discussions about new libraries and frameworks, particularly for building multi-agent AI systems.
Multi-agent AI systems. That sounds really interesting, but kind of complex. Can you explain it in simple terms?
Think of it like this. Instead of one AI working on a problem, you have a team of AIs, each with its own skills and knowledge, working together.
Like an AI squad, each member bringing something unique to the table.
Exactly. And this approach has huge potential, especially in robotics, autonomous systems, and complex decision-making. It's like taking the power of AI and amplifying it through collaboration.
So what are some of the tools that are making this multi-agent AI revolution possible?
One library that's getting a lot of attention is Swarm. It's a TypeScript library specifically designed for building multi-agent AI systems.
TypeScript, that's a pretty popular programming language, right?
Yeah.
So Swarm is making it easier for developers to build these collaborative AI systems.
Exactly. Swarm is known for its modular design and flexibility. Developers can easily create and customize their AIs and then control how they interact. It's a great example of how open source tools are driving innovation in AI.
It's amazing to see how these communities are fostering collaboration and knowledge sharing. It's like a global brain working together to push AI forward.
I love that analogy, and it's not just about developing new models and tools, it's also about finding creative ways to use existing technologies.
Oh, I'm definitely interested in that. What kind of out-of-the-box applications are people experimenting with?
Well, over in the LM Studio Discord, there's been this fascinating discussion about using local LLMs for tasks like quest generation in video games.
Local LLMs. So instead of using those giant cloud-based AI models, they're running the models on their own machines.
That's right. And this approach has several benefits, like increased privacy, control over the data, and more flexibility in design.
I can see how that would be appealing for game developers who want to create unique experiences without being tied to a specific cloud provider. It's like having your own personal AI storyteller.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And it points to this growing trend of democratizing AI, making it more accessible to individuals and smaller teams who might not have the resources for those big cloud-based systems.
So we've got collaborative AI teams, amazing video generation, and even AI writing stories for video games. It's incredible to see how fast things are moving in AI. But with all this progress, are there any red flags or concerns that are coming up in these communities?
That's a good question. And, even with all the positive developments, there are some things that warrant a closer look. One that sticks out is the conversation about DeepSeek v3 and its potential privacy implications.
DeepSeek v3, the model with the performance issues. What's the privacy concern there?
Well, some users are worried that the model might be storing and training on their private code and data without their consent. This came up in the Cursor IDE Discord, where developers use DeepSeek for code assistance.
So it's like the model is secretly learning from everything you do, even if you don't want it to.
Yeah, it's a bit unsettling. And it raises important questions about data privacy and security in the age of AI. As these models become more integrated into our work, we need to make sure our data is being handled responsibly and ethically.
It's like the saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
We need to be aware of the potential risks as AI becomes more powerful.
Absolutely. And that's why these community discussions are so important. They give developers, researchers, and users a platform to share their experiences, raise concerns, and work together to shape the future of AI in a responsible way.
I agree. It's inspiring to see how these communities are not just focusing on technical advancements, but also having these important conversations about the ethical side of AI. So as we wrap up this part of our exploration, what's the big takeaway for our listeners?
I think the main takeaway is this. The AI landscape is incredibly diverse and dynamic, with each community bringing its own unique perspective to the table. It's a collaborative ecosystem where innovation is happening at a rapid pace.
So keep exploring those communities, keep asking those tough questions, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI. But wait a second, we've been talking a lot about the software side of AI. Aren't we forgetting something? What about the hardware that's powering all of this?
You're absolutely right. We can't leave out the hardware. And the hardware side of things is just as exciting and maybe even more dramatic than the software side.
Okay, then let's get into the world of silicon and circuits. What's been happening on the hardware front this week? Okay, so let's get down to the nuts and bolts of this AI hardware. What's the latest in all the silicon drama you mentioned?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things this week has been the cost of AI. And I don't just mean those crazy training bills.
There are even more costs to think about.
Oh, yeah. Users are running into all these complicated credit systems, weird API stuff, even getting charged for those errors that some models keep making.
So it's not just the price of the model, but all these extra expenses that pop up.
Exactly. And this is coming up in a lot of different communities. Like in the Open Router Discord, people are having their credit cards declined and they can't even figure out how their credits are being used.
It's like those hidden fees that airlines charge. You think you're getting a good deal, but then they hit you with extra charges for everything.
Perfect analogy. It really shows how AI pricing models need to be more transparent and easier to understand. Developers need to know what they're paying for.
I hope as AI becomes more established, we'll see some clearer and more user-friendly pricing. Right now, it's a bit of a mess.
Definitely a bit of a Wild West. And it's not just about the money either. There's the cost of complexity, too. People are spending hours troubleshooting technical problems, fighting with APIs, trying to understand confusing documentation.
So there's like this hidden learning curve tax that comes with using AI.
That's a great way to put it, and it's definitely something to keep in mind. The real cost of AI goes beyond just the initial price. You have to invest time and effort, too.
It's like trying to assemble furniture from IKEA. You think it'll be easy, but then you end up spending the entire weekend wrestling with those instructions.
I've been there. But hey, it feels good when you finally figure it out, right?
Definitely. And the same goes for AI. All these breakthroughs are amazing, but we can't ignore the challenges.
Very true. And speaking of challenges, you were talking about some drama on the hardware side. What's going on?
Well, there's this rumor that the new RTX 50 by X series might have limited VRAM. Engineers are freaking out, thinking that NVIDIA is doing this on purpose to force people to buy their more expensive cards.
The VRAM debate. It never ends. People always want more VRAM to handle bigger models and datasets, but it makes the cards more expensive.
So it's this constant struggle between making AI powerful and making it affordable,
Exactly. And now people are arguing about whether we should just keep adding more VRAM or if there are smarter ways to do things like using system RAM more efficiently.
like figuring out how to pack a suitcase for a trip.
Hmm.
Do you just keep buying bigger suitcases? Or do you learn to pack smarter?
I like that. It shows how we need both hardware and software innovation in AI. It's not just about brute force, it's about finding clever solutions.
And speaking of clever solutions, what about those one-bit LLMs I keep hearing about? What's the deal with those?
Ah, yes. One-bit LLMs are creating a lot of excitement, especially for people doing high-performance computing. The idea is to make training way cheaper and less resource-intensive without losing accuracy.
That sounds almost too good to be true. Is it really possible?
The research so far is pretty impressive. There's this thing called BitNet that uses something called ternary weights. It's incredibly efficient.
Ternary weights. Sounds complicated.
It is. Basically, instead of using a wide range of values, ternary weights only use three, Magish 1, 0, and 1. This really simplifies things and makes the calculations much faster.
It's like finding a shortcut through a dense forest. You get to your destination faster and with less effort.
Perfect analogy. And if it works, it could make AI much more accessible and sustainable. So we've talked about a lot today: performance issues, cost barriers, new models, ethical concerns, hardware drama, you name it.
It seems like there's never a dull moment in the AI world.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But even with all the challenges, the progress being made is incredible. It's inspiring to see all these people working together to push the boundaries of what's possible.
It gives you hope for the future, right?
It really does.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything in this massive AI news digest. Any final words of wisdom for our listeners as they navigate the exciting world of AI?
Always remember that AI is a tool. A powerful tool, yes. But ultimately, it's up to us, the humans, to decide how we use it. So stay informed, stay engaged, and most importantly, stay curious.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It's been a fascinating journey, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for AI. To all our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries.